natural health and healing show with one of New England's leading nutritionists, Mark Mincourt. The show is brought to you by the Good Health Stores in Hanover and Quincy. Call Mark at 781-837-4900 with your health and nutrition questions. Now, here's Mark.
Good evening and welcome. And I can see all those potato chips out there all throughout the land. Larry, you're getting as bad as Leslie Gatos at NEC.
I used to good potato chips, yeah.
Whenever we do these holiday segments on NEC, and she says, and now it's time for the Grinch.
Oh, geez.
You know,
put away
a buzz killer. Yeah. No, listen, hey, I'm a guy who believes in choice.
I've actually offered you a slice of cheese pizza, and you've enjoyed it.
No, I did not.
I'm pretty sure you did.
Larry, that was somebody else.
Was it? Your twin brother?
My evil twin brother, yes.
Maybe you just looked at the pizza.
There you go. I don't mind looking at pizza. I'm good with that.
Okay. I can look at it and eat it, too. And deal with the consequences.
Yes, indeed. And again, I think that folks make these holiday choices. Let them cut a corner. Let them have a little fun. But just so January 2nd, you're not dealing with some major backlog here.
Let me write that down.
January 2nd. That's when everybody's lined up to try to get their gym program lined up, their diets happening, and everybody's fighting to get in line at the treadmills and all that stuff. January 2nd's pretty rough stuff.
I have my own treadmill.
We'll fight off the chips now a little bit, and January 2nd won't be a problem for you.
Thank you very much. Good advice.
Well, actually, we're going to talk a little bit about something entirely different. Well, actually, not really entirely different. We're going to talk about something that I think directly relates to this magical time of year. A lot of folks, of course, beyond the magic, get a little stressed out this time of year. A lot of shoppers, a lot of, try to drive anywhere. The traffic, the lines, it's classic December time here, and holiday season is in full gear. That means shopping season's in full gear, and that means stress season is in full gear. A lot of folks this time of year spending money that perhaps, especially with the economy being the way it is, maybe is not as readily available, yet you still want to do something real special for the people you love, and there's a lot of stress and pressure around that. Clearly it's a very busy time of year. Things are very, very different. A lot of folks, of course, this time of year are battling out with a lot of stresses related to family and relatives, sitting around the dinner table with folks that perhaps you maybe don't see all together a lot during the course of the year, and perhaps you don't even get along all that well with, but 'tis the season to be jolly, so nonetheless we push through, and as we endeavor through this great time of year, there's an awful lot of stress to deal with. So we're going to talk a little bit about stress management. We're going to talk about the holiday stress season and some really important tips and some very important advice for a lot of us to take advantage of regarding natural solutions, natural supplements, and yes, even foods. There's some foods that increase the feel-good serotonin hormones in our body, make us feel a little less stressed. So nutrition certainly has something to say about managing these levels of stress. How about you out there? Do you feel a little stressed this time of year? Especially folks that maybe are young parents, folks that have a lot of kids. Wow, I remember the days. It can get a little difficult, but there's an awful lot that we can do about it. We can make differences, and like we said, we're going to basically discuss those strategies with you this evening, and we're going to talk a little bit more about something that's going down this Thursday as well. Kind of a precursor to Thursday evening's presentation that I will be doing at the Red Lion, and that'll be in Cohasset this coming Thursday the 10th from 6:30 to 9. And we're going to learn about what stress really is that night, what you can do about it, etc. But we're going to give you a little sort of a preemptive strike this evening. We're going to give you a little taste about what you might be able to do during this particular time of year. And we're going to bring Catherine Foley in here. She's going to join us. So in just a few moments after these messages, we're going to be on with you regarding the holiday season, stress management. Stay tuned.
Hi, this is Laura from Good Health, proud sponsor of the Natural Health and Healing Show. Cold and flu season is upon us, and we have all the natural remedies you and your family need. Effective vitamins, herbs, homeopathics, and natural nasal sprays to protect you from germs and viruses. All our wholesome products are available at our everyday low prices. Come by and see us in Quincy Center or Route 53 in Hanover. Visit goodhealthnaturalfood.com. Good Health, the intelligent choice for everything healthful and economical.
Right in our area, we are fortunate to have one of the top martial arts schools in the country, Personal Best Karate. Personal Best has been recognized for their community involvement, professional staff development, character building programs, and exciting educational curriculum. Personal Best stands at the top of their industry. 5 locations offering personalized professional instruction. Not sure if karate is right for you? At no obligation, the staff at Personal Best will guide you in a private introductory program to see if karate is indeed the right fit to help you achieve your goals and meet your needs. What does karate at Personal Best teach you? Character building, success habits, helps you get in shape, relieve stress, self-control, setting goals, and of course, self-defense. Personal Best's goal is to create successful, contributing members of society through the practice of the martial arts at Personal Best. Mr. Chris Rappold is, of course, the founder of Personal Best Karate. He tells me his greatest joy of all is to see the personal transformation in each and every student. Bring out your best with Personal Best Karate. Telephone number 508-285-5425. That's 508-285-5425. Locations in Norton, Foxborough, Southeaston, Franklin, and Taunton. That's Personal Best Karate. And congratulations to Chris Rappold. I just received an email from him last weekend. He is this is his third time as the world gold medal karate champion.
What?
He won 2 of those in his 20s and decided to go back 20 years later in his mid-40s to see if it was possible. Once again, world champion, gold medalist in karate, Sifu Master Chris Rappold. God bless him. Congratulations. And Catherine Foley,
hi.
Welcome. Where the heck you been, girl?
Oh, trying to walk on thin ice.
Especially right about now, huh?
Yeah.
There's plenty of that out there.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Stress this time of year? Yes,
It is.
no?
Well, it's really big, and it's not only just the activity level, but the emotional level, too. I think a lot of people, the holidays they get quite stressful for them because of the emotions involved in
Exactly. That's a huge point. It's not just the traffic jams.
No.
It's not just the crowds shopping. There's a lot of emotion behind the experience.
Yeah.
And, when you do the consulting work that I do with so many patients, and you constantly hear stories during our question and answer periods, it's story after story about something that happened years back and that somebody has a hard time forgetting about, and it's suddenly facing them for the one time of the year that they have to confront it at the dinner table.
Yeah, it's hard.
So there's a lot of emotions associated. We tend to think of only positive holiday emotions, and there's certainly plenty of those, thank God.
Right.
But there's also those troubling emotions that so many folks carry. And this is the time of the year where everything seems to kind of snowball on them.
Yeah, and it's like what you talk about a lot. Emotion has memory, and that manifests itself physically.
Yes.
So you see the stress arise,
Right.
From that manifestation. And, we can talk about supplements and all of that stuff to work with, but a lot of the work that you do in training memory and training the mind is really important as well.
Absolutely. And we're finding, of course, so much more about that these days with a lot of the neuroplasticity research. And again, that's a word that sort of flies in the face of what we thought for so many years, that that the brain was hardwired,
right.
And that whoever we were and whatever our emotional brain was about, we were stuck with that for the rest of our lives. Not so true, folks. Since 1993, all that research done at the Salk Institute, Dr. Peter Erickson and Dr. Fred Gage found that we do not have hard wiring, that we actually have plastic wiring, and that we can reprogram and reformulate our thoughts and our emotions, so that if we come from an experience in the past that's negative, we can actually erase that and replace it if we practice it enough.
Right, and it's all about, the supplements to get you over the physical barriers, because those emotions manifest themselves as serious biochemistry in the brain. And so you use the supplements to get yourself over that, and then, the neuroplasticity work that you do for people to make a decision, to start making their lives better.
Yes.
In many sort of a way, and the holidays come right before the new year. So it's a great time for people to reflect and sit and decide, you know what, it's from this point on, my brain equals positive patterns.
That's so true. And, I refuse to allow patients the luxury of using the word stress.
Yeah.
The word stress says absolutely nothing. It's a generic word, and it just means that you're frazzled.
Yeah, bananas.
Yeah, exactly right. You're going bananas. But what does it really mean? I mean, there's some specific applications. There's specific biochemistries associated with it. There's specific hormonal responses. There is a lot going on when stress is happening.
Yeah, and for us, particularly in New England, we're also confronted with the change of the seasons. And, so you have that physical stress on the body as well. Yep. And then, all of a sudden, all of the stuff on top of it. So the foods are really important to eat, warming foods and ginger root and root vegetables and, things like that. And a lot of those root vegetables are very mineral rich, so they bring healthy minerals to your nervous system and help you to adjust.
You're absolutely correct about that. And I think it's an important point that so many of us tend to think of stress as just an emotional and a mental reality. But it's a biochemical, it's a cellular reality. We get chemically stressed. And during this time of year, as you point out, hey, it's 98.6 inside that body. It's not easy to keep it that way, especially when it's so bitter cold outside. Your body has to work a lot harder to keep that happening. And you look at Chinese medicine, for example. They're so articulate about that when it's cold outside, you got to keep the warm food coming in there to make it easier for your body to maintain warmth.
Yep, and the ginger, right around October, I start eating as much hot pepper as I can.
That's good stuff. Yeah, and the spicy stuff, and even like the cinnamon. It's so important, I think, to make sure the spices are part of that equation. And of course, in recent years, the USDA, of course, has done that remarkable research on antioxidant power. The ORAC factor, oxygen radical absorbance capacity, the ability of a food to really make a difference as an antioxidant. What did we find out from those studies? As high as the highest foods were, you're looking at red kidney beans and blueberries around 14,000.
Wow.
Pretty high, relatively speaking. Yeah. A serving of red kidney beans or a serving of blueberries, 14,000 units of antioxidant support. How about this? A quarter of a teaspoon of spice like oregano or ginger. We're talking 270,000 per quarter teaspoon.
And these antioxidants are really great for fighting winter viruses and, keeping the body, even though the sun has dissipated a little bit, keeping the spark there, keeping the brightness there.
Absolutely.
Like with the vitamin D and all of that stuff, it's about keeping that there. And we're also adjusting to the change in time and the darker evenings. And, your body really goes through a lot.
Absolutely. And so many folks, like we say, when we try to really identify stress very specifically, for some folks it might mean more insomnia. Mm-hmm. For some folks it might mean more irritability or an easier sort of development of anger in their day-to-day performances or anxiety. It may mean shortness of breath. It may mean palpitations. There's so many different symptoms associated with an increase in stress. And they mask so many other conditions. If I had a nickel for everybody that had the palpitation fear of heart disease, when in fact, they go through all the different rigorous testing and their doctor says, you have no heart problems. But they're so confused because these symptoms really mask a serious condition. Stress will produce symptoms that mask just about anything and mimic just about anything you can imagine.
Right, absolutely.
So when we talk about stress, from your perspective, you have a great history in biochemistry and a lot of wonderful research work that you've done. What would you say is the real central biochemical issue when it comes to stress?
Well, what it is when you're stressed out, your cortisol levels go up, your metabolism actually goes up.
Cortisol is a stress hormone produced by your adrenal glands.
Yeah, and whenever your metabolism goes up, your metabolism of certain nutrients increases as well. So you're using and expending nutrients at a faster rate than you normally would, so you need to replenish them. And, your minerals are really important. So magnesium, potassium, and calcium, really important. And we just don't tend to replenish them as much as we need to. When you think about winter and you think about, the seasons, a lot of our traditional foods were centered around soups and stews and, things that really bring the minerals back into the body. And so those things are really important. But your stress hormones, when they go up, your metabolism goes up. Your body uses B vitamins to manufacture all of the stress hormones and the higher metabolism, so you really need to replenish with B-rich foods or a B-complex vitamin.
Right. Well, and you frequently see in the health food store shelves so many different formulas called stress vitamins or stress vites or whatever. And essentially what they really seem to be when you break them down is all the B-complex and maybe a little bit of C in there.
Yeah. And it's really real. It manifests itself. I have a friend of mine who's a police officer, and he said,
about a high-stress job.
Well, what's really hard is he said that during the holiday seasons, the suicide rate goes up. And domestic violence and domestic abuse rates go up. And those are real numbers. This is real stuff. And just recently they, had somebody that, a suicide. And, you just think if people had access to knowledge, if that person just, had a bottle of theanine or something to get through, it's unfortunate because the stress hormones take over, the biochemistry takes over your body, and then, you're very much a human being, but you're acting based on the chemicals that are running through your body. And if, one capsule of theanine is enough to take you down a level and give you a good night's rest so you can wake up the next morning.
Absolutely. Or GABA, for example, sometimes. And there's some wonderful formulas out there these days that include more than one substance, maybe that have some theanine, which is, as you point out, is wonderful, especially with dealing with anxiety and depression. Things like GABA, which, again, you can purchase in any health food store. Minerals, you pointed out, are exceptionally useful as far as stress periods go, especially, I think, one of the products, the Magnesium Optimizer, is a beauty. You guys have a great, great formula. Jarrow Formulas, of course, is thinking about things like this. When you folks sit down to formulate a product, Jarrow Formulas is thinking in terms of really filling a gap. The idea of orthomolecular. There's missing nutrients that during specific periods, like stress periods, when you're missing the potassium and missing the magnesium, it's important to replenish and replace those.
Yeah, and like as you said, the neuroplasticity, when your brain gets locked into a stress thinking pattern, it gets more intense and more intense and more intense. It's kind of like the law of squares. It's, negative thinking on top of negative thinking. It just gets worse. And, things like Magnesium Optimizer and theanine and GABA, they break that brain pattern. They stop it. So you can release that, cumulative effect of the negative thinking.
Right. And tell us a little bit about what's in that formula, the Magnesium Optimizer.
Magnesium Optimizer is magnesium. Magnesium is the key signal molecule for all of your nerves. So your nerves operate on a influx and reflux of calcium and magnesium. And what happens is that...
So, folks, when your nervous system is fried, you really need that magnesium.
Oh, it's the number one thing. And you can feel it. It's like the agitation, the nervousness. And, that's when you need to go for foods that are magnesium-rich or, grab a bottle of magnesium. But magnesium also needs potassium to help it work in concert, and also taurine. So taurine is a muscle relaxer.
Taurine is also a nerve membrane stabilizer.
Yeah.
Powerful. And it's an amino acid, folks. We're talking about food-grade support here. We're talking about supplements that are real safe, FDA-approved, over-the-counter. These are not drugs.
Yeah. And taurine, they use as a treatment for women with postpartum depression.
Right.
So it is in and of itself an antidepressant.
Well, and taurine has been used in a number of different PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder studies, and has been very, very useful in a number of different studies. So taurine is a great supplement to mix with the magnesium, because magnesium is a natural nerve tranquilizer.
Right.
And then the taurine is a nerve stabilizer.
Right.
So they work beautifully well together, and that is a great product.
Yeah, and using supplements like that, it's, you're working with your body, and you're basically, it's a battle. It's a battle in dealing with stress, and you're basically saying to your body, I'm not giving in to the stress, and it's a fight, and not giving into it and nourishing yourself instead of giving into it is the first step,
Right. Well, and you mentioned theanine a few moments ago. So Jarrow has a theanine product?
Theanine, yes. Theanine is also an amino acid, and it's a component of green tea. Green tea is a great antioxidant, has caffeine in it.
Right.
But the reason why it doesn't make people nervous or agitated like regular caffeine products is because it has theanine in there to balance the caffeine. So what they did was isolated theanine, and you can take it on its own. It stimulates alpha brain waves, which are the kind of
meditation brain waves.
Yeah. And taking theanine, people call it nature's Valium. And when somebody is in a state of high stress, and a state of high stress is when you're dealing with a constant everyday stress, be it financial stress or some sort of emotional stress, or maybe, a loved one is sick or something.
Ordeal, long-term situation.
Long-term ordeal. Theanine gives you the ability to kind of manage your stress level to get through the day. It's a wonderful, wonderful nutrient.
And let's go back to some doses on some of these things. The Jarrow Magnesium Optimizer that has the taurine in it.
Yep.
I believe that's, 1 or 2 a day recommended?
1 or 2 a day, yep.
And the theanine is how many? Is that 100 milligrams?
It's 100 milligrams. We just came out with a 200 milligram as well, but I particularly like doing 100 milligrams in the middle of the day and then 100 milligrams before you go to sleep.
Now, when you take theanine, what do you feel you notice? What kind of... No, seriously.
I have a perfect example. I went through a period
on the drive
of
down
stress.
today. No.
I went through a period of stress, and we all do it. And I just remember I was driving from Rhode Island to Boston, and I just remember my hands on the steering wheel, and I looked at my hands, and the grip on the steering wheel was so strong. Yeah. And of course, I had a cup of coffee in my hand. I'm racing home, and I just said to myself, I know better. I know better than this. I've been letting this happen for a month already, and I had a bottle of theanine in the car with me, opened it up, took the 100 milligrams, and literally within 45 minutes, I could feel the grip on the steering wheel start to release. And I sat back in the driver's seat, and I looked around, and at that moment, I was able to recognize what a gorgeous day it was outside.
So it really slowed down some of that nerve tension that, we call stress.
And if you're locked in that state of mind, and
hard to get out.
It's hard to get out. And what was really clear to me, it really was dramatic when I realized that if I hadn't had that opportunity, I would have missed out on how gorgeous that day was, and I would have missed out on all of the ability to look at the wonderful things about that day. And a lot of people are locked in that state, and every moment you miss out on enjoying life, you miss those things.
Well, the kind of thing that most people have to take a vacation,
right?
to break from.
Yeah, I was in Rhode Island. It was beautiful.
And if it weren't for the theanine, you would have never known that.
I know, really? It's a highway. Come on.
All right. But. So a safe dose of theanine. And that's spelled Theanine, like the number 9, Nine, theanine. So a safe dose is generally 100 milligrams to 200 milligrams. Shouldn't need much more than that, huh?
Yeah. And for people, I've met thousands of people that tell me, theanine was a lifesaver for them. And, we were talking about my friend that is on the police force, and, you think about people that just reach that point, and if they had something, it's a lifesaver. It really is. Yep.
And what about the idea of, I'm sure someone out there is wondering about combining the two. If they were to take the Jarrow Magnesium Optimizer, which has the it has the taurine rather, and the magnesium and the potassium, that okay to combine those two things? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, the theanine works, it's a brain chemical. Magnesium is it's a body chemical. Yeah. It's what you use to nourish your nervous system, your heart, and magnesium is really important in your heart rate, regulating your heart rate. So it helps to keep the heart strong and the beat strong and the rhythm, on level.
Yep. And if you read any of the Sinatra books, the Dr. Sinatra books regarding metabolic cardiology, he's really, really enthusiastic about magnesium. It's a real important heart regulator. And of course, stress seems to give us those extra heartbeats.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And, I'm always saying, one of the most amazing things that I ever read in Chinese philosophy is that they believe that people are born with a certain amount of heartbeats, and that's why a lot of Eastern practice is focused on slowing the heart rate, therefore extending life. So when you think about it, when you're in, states of stress, you are taking heartbeats off of your own life.
Yeah, it's kind of like the idea that you only have so much life to spend.
Right.
And you want to spend it very cautiously.
Yeah.
And in this case, I think something like magnesium helps you regulate that heartbeat, and something like theanine produces the brain waves, as you pointed out, the alpha sort of meditative brain waves that obviously slow down that heart rate and sort of take that nervous system down a notch.
Right, absolutely.
So we're going to take a short little break, and I'm going to take some theanine, and we'll be right back.
This is Catherine from Jarrow Formulas. We're happy to have continued our relationship with Mark Mincola in the Health and Healing Show, and we're happy to announce a new product from Jarrow Formulas called Jarrow Cell. We all know that as the body ages, it heals less rapidly and becomes frailer. Often the body is unable to process enough nutrients to repair weakening cartilage and protein fibers. A very important element in repairing your body is silicon. But unfortunately, as we grow, you may have difficulty absorbing adequate silicon from your diet. But now, thanks to a product called Jarrow Cell, you can be sure to get your share. Jarrow Cell can give you the silicon you need to support your bone health, bone mineral density, and in addition, Jarrow Cell strengthens and beautifies your hair, skin, and nails. Jarrow Cell is available now in a synergistic liquid formula that also includes boron and zinc. Ask for Jarrow Cell at your local health food stores. Or for more information, you can go to the Jarrow website, which is www.jarrow.com.
Are you feeling overwhelmed? Do you find that the stresses in your life are skyrocketing out of control? Hello, this is Mark Mincola. Please join me on Thursday, December 10th from 6:30 to 9 p.m. at the Red Lion Inn in Cohasset as I present Maximize Your Stress Reduction and Relaxation. You will learn about what stress really is and exactly how you can have power over it. We will discuss the latest scientific strategies that help you recover from stress and to keep you well in the face of any and all future stresses. In addition, there will be vendors present with food and supplements for stress, along with recipes, raffles, and drawings. For information, call 781-383-3393. That's 781-383-3393. Remember, you are more powerful than stress. Alrighty, welcome back. We are having a conversation with Catherine Foley about what that last commercial is about. If you're feeling overwhelmed and feeling stressed in your life, we have a special presentation coming this Thursday, December 10th, at the Red Lion Inn in Cohasset. So if you're interested in taking part in this very remarkable event and really learning about how to help yourself cope much more successfully and manage much more successfully with your day-to-day stress, especially this time of year, you can give us a call at 781-383-3393, and you can order yourself some tickets, and we'd love to see you there. In fact, we're going to Santi Holistic Healing, of course, where I work, is going to be sponsoring some special drawings with all kinds of goodies, massages and healthy goodies. Good Health is going to be there. You'll be there.
Yeah. And
Catherine will be there, of course, representing Jarrow Formulas, and you can actually win a drawing to have a personal consult with moi.
Wow.
So that could be fun, too. No, Larry does not speak French, I don't think. He gets confused.
Moi.
We'll send you a translation at the end of the program, Larry. Anyway, that should be a fun time, and I'm glad you're coming.
Yeah.
It should be a great time. And, we've had a lot of fascinating response, a lot of interested folks talking about Jarrow's interview there. They loved his interview. He knows how to talk about lighting it up, huh?
Yeah, he is so funny. I have to say, was out in Los Angeles the week prior and went out to dinner with them, and the topic of the radio show came up, and he was like, well, when am I coming on the radio show? And I looked at him and I was like, well, you can come on if you can behave yourself. And he just...
That is too funny. You and he are perfect. You're a perfect match. You're like opposite sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
You're like the Tai Chi circle.
Yeah.
He is the yang and you're the yin. Mild-mannered Catherine and fiery Jaro.
Yeah, he's a Scorpio. I knew it.
It's wonderful to watch the two of you guys under the same roof like that. It's good stuff.
And he was like, what do you mean behave myself? So there were a couple of moments on the show where I knew he was like, real Catherine, like waiting for my response.
Yeah, he was trying to get some stress happening in your life, but you were packing theanine.
Yeah, I love him to death.
He's awesome. I love him too.
Yeah, he's such a heartfelt person.
Yeah, well, you can't help but get drawn into that passion that he has.
Yeah.
And he goes to bat for all of us.
Yeah, and that's, the work that Jaro is doing now, none of us may realize the impact, for 5 or 10 more years. And, I just really hope someday that he's well recognized for all of the work that he's done personally.
There's no question that will happen. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
And, the wonderful formulas that we're talking about tonight are really all about the wonderful work that he's doing and the wonderful work that you're doing. And the magnesium optimizer. What is the theanine supplement called?
Theanine.
Just plain theanine. Okay, there you have it, folks.
It's easy to find. And, there's another company, it's called Herbasway, and they make a liquid tincture of theanine, and it's a dropper, and you can just drop it in some water and drink it too. I just, for people, to me, it's really important that people have these tools in their arsenal.
Sure.
To deal with life.
We also should mention that on Thursday evening this coming, that Good Health Natural Foods, of course, our flagship sponsor over these many years, will be present and accounted for, and they'll be present with a number of different supplements that I've armed them with regarding folks' stress issues. So they're going to be there with a number of different stress busters for folks to purchase. So that should be kind of fun too. And Good Health, of course, is central to the Natural Health and Healing Program. Without them, we wouldn't be here. This forum is all about Good Health Natural Foods and always has been. And they've got some interesting supplements that we've put our heads together on. So folks are going to hear the information as I present it, and then there's going to be a break in the middle of the presentation for them to kind of wander over and talk to Catherine Foley from Jaro Formulas, and of course Nick Mincola and company from Good Health Natural Foods. So it'll be a very fun night, and it's going to be a very resourceful and helpful night.
Well, and that's the most important thing is if you have a passion to learn this stuff and you take your classes or, discover, those roots, it's not just for you. Every person that gets armed with this information, it's, they're kind of a beacon, and they're bringing that to their family members, and they're bringing that to their friends. And I can't express to people how important it is to do that, to be a liaison, to be, a concierge, not only for their own health, but understand that, people are going to draw on their information, draw on their knowledge when they really do need help. And so if you're passionate about it and you're interested in learning about it, you have to know that it is knowledge that is going to be ever present in your life, and it's going to change not only your life but the lives of everybody around you.
You're absolutely right about that, and I think that it's important to remember also that when you talk about stress, you're talking about a very real set of circumstances, biologically, mentally, emotionally. And you're talking about folks who really need solutions.
Yeah. And I gave you my own personal example.
Absolutely.
And here I am, somebody armed with all the knowledge in the world, and even I had forgotten it for a second and a moment. And, once I realized it, it really got me through, the struggles that I needed to get through. And it was a lifesaver to me, and I was ever grateful for.
Well, and I think, again, when you talk about real, viable, functional solutions that work, it's, when folks are feeling anxious or when folks are feeling depressed, that's a form of pain.
Yeah, it is.
And when pain happens, we want it to stop immediately. And solutions would suggest the ones that are viable, that work, that is, that you're turning off the pain. And folks need to have that pain turned off, not maybe, and not tomorrow, but ASAP and for real.
Yeah, and I'm one for, really telling people that, life is hard enough as it is. There's a lot of challenges and, things arise. It's hard enough as it is. The last thing that you need to do is make it harder on yourself.
Right.
And you're the only one that can control. It can be bad, but you are the only one that can control how much you let it affect you.
So with that in mind, I think, the idea of functional solutions to me really means two things. First of all, it means that it's effective at turning that pain signal down, turning down the anxiety, turning down the depression, turning up a little bit more feel-good, if you will. And to do so in a way that's not artificial and in a way that's not potentially dangerous, in a way that doesn't produce side effects, in a way that you don't have to worry about the toxicity values. And that's really what we're talking about. We're talking about functional, usable substances that are FDA approved, that don't bring about a lot of side effects, and that are not really dangerous in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and I remember, one of the most eye-opening shows that you and I did together was the show that we did on psychotropics or neuropharmaceuticals. And it was when we pulled up the numbers at how many people are actually on neuropharmaceuticals like Prozac.
Astounding.
And how many scripts are written every year. It is astounding. And then, people coming off of those medications is almost as dangerous as, it is.
Sure, the withdrawal is intense.
Withdrawal is intense, and people are not educated on how to do that properly. So you have all of these contributing factors, and I would so much somebody take theanine or magnesium optimizer then get to that point, that critical point where they're prescribed Prozac or, any number one of these pharmaceuticals.
Let's talk for a moment or two about GABA.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
Also, too, because of the holiday seasons, and, GABA is really good at battling, like, alcohol addiction and, things like that. Some people, when they get stressed, may, run to, I need a drink or, something like that. And GABA really cuts off that desire.
Yes.
So you're able to manage your stress and do it well, but you don't have that, urge.
Well, and anybody who's had anxiety or panic attacks, anybody that's had strong phobic experiences that they've had a hard time overcoming, and they've become familiar with Xanax, for example, but they're also familiar with the addictive properties of Xanax, then it's really important for you to know that GABA is the very brain chemistry that's produced whenever you take Xanax. So the idea that the production of certain chemistries in the brain that are triggered by your Xanax medications can actually be taken in natural form in and of themselves. So GABA can be taken straight up.
Right. And
GABA can be taken safely. It's gamma-aminobutyric acid. You can find it in any health food store.
Yeah. It's a precursor. Yeah, we're coming out with the GABA. I always joke because all of us sales reps, it's one of our favorite supplements. So I always joke around that they've never come out with it because they don't want us all, taking loads and loads of it. But we're finally coming out with a GABA. But there's a couple other really nice products on the market. I can't remember the company, but one company makes a chewable GABA, and so they're chewable tablets. I think they may have theanine in there as well, and so you can carry those with you. And
that's a nice combination.
Chewable, yeah.
So for the question that many folks may have as to can you take theanine and GABA together, for example, of course you can. They're actually formulated together in many cases. But how would you differentiate? We've talked about a couple things here. Certainly magnesium is the first thing that we talk about when we talk about stress. Magnesium, potassium, and the taurine, of course, and the magnesium optimizer. Perfect combo of real important elements. And then we talk about theanine number 2. And we mentioned that theanine was really important to kind of gear that anxiety down. But how would you differentiate between GABA and theanine?
Well, theanine takes your brain waves down a notch. What GABA does is GABA is involved with serotonin. So it increases serotonin, the happy chemical in your brain, and so it works directly on the neurotransmitter, direction, whereas, theanine is more of like a brain wave, supplement. It really monitors the electricity of the brain. So
and folks, I'm sure many folks out there have read or heard the word serotonin, for example. Yeah. Explain real briefly what serotonin is.
Well, serotonin is a neurochemical. Your brain, basically, it's, kind of looks like these pods. The terminals are the end of the neurotransmitters in your brain, and your brain will send signals, electronic signals, to the end of that to stimulate different chemicals like epinephrine, cortisol is one of them, serotonin is the other one, and serotonin stimulates all of the happy chemicals in your brain, like serotonin and like epinephrine and all of those things. And a lot of us have low serotonin levels. Many things can lead to that. The amount of sunlight, so sunlight hitting your iris and the rods and cones in your eyes stimulates serotonin. Your liver is a very big manufacturer of precursor neurotransmitters. So if your liver function is down, your serotonin levels typically will go down.
And again, during this time of year, there's a lot of fatty foods, a lot of alcohol, a lot of spicy foods and concentrated sugars, and the liver's working twice as hard, and your feel-good hormones are not likely to be as well assimilated this time of year. So food really comes into play here as well. We haven't said much about diet. Real important that folks don't simply take the purple pill mentality approach here. Even though we're talking about some great and very useful and safe natural supplements for stress, important to not overlook the food component.
Yeah, absolutely. And, healthy foods, foods that are not heavy with gluten, and sugars, those are depressants.
Right.
They're nervous system depressants. So, they reduce the amount of neurotransmitter circulation, and they're heavy on the liver and hard to digest. So you'll get a body depression after that. That's what I call it, like pasta coma.
Pasta coma.
You eat pizza, right? Everybody loves pizza, but after you eat a whole bunch.
Loves pizza.
Yeah, and I always eat too much pizza. It's like, you always eat one slice too much. But after that, you go into this state, this coma, you just feel drowsy and you feel tired. And if you have to continue to function after something like that, it's hard. It's hard on your body. So, especially in the winter when you have so many other factors and you have the emotional stress of the holidays, it's really important not to introduce foods like that cause, even more digestive stress.
Yeah, and I think the other part of that equation is that, you take foods in that are going to have, I always say everything breaks down, sort of like Chinese medicine. Everything either has a creative or a destructive effect. Mm-hmm. So certain things will kind of move you up, some things will move you down.
Right.
You need to know what direction that you want to go in, because obviously if you're already really anxious, for example, and you're all kinds of tensed out, like you were talking about your white knuckle ride when you're holding the steering wheel like you could never let go of it. Coffee doesn't work with that. How do you take caffeine into that same equation? You can't.
Yeah, you're doing it to get through the day, and but it's just manifesting more angst and anxiety, and it's those moments you thank God that you're in tune with your own body. And I was able to I had the coffee cup in my hand, and I put it down, put it down and just said, I'm changing this,
Well, and people also need to know that there are foods that actually affect the very hormones we've been talking about. Right. So in other words, not only does theanine and taurine and GABA and all these wonderful supplements, these anti-stress supplements, affect your nerve hormones, neural hormones, but foods will do the same thing.
Yeah, they absolutely do.
So, the idea of a lot of folks that are on these high-protein diets, a lot of the Atkins diet kind of stuff that's still hung over out there, those Atkins diets, they die hard,
Yeah.
A lot of bodybuilders, a lot of folks trying to go super lean. They're just wiping all carbohydrates off the table. I say you want to differentiate between good and bad carbs.
Yeah.
A highly processed, white, starchy carbohydrate, not where you want to go. It's got too much sugar. But if you take a complex carbohydrate, a baked potato with skin, and especially an organic baked potato with skin, if you take brown rice as opposed to white rice, fruits and vegetables, these are really high fibrous, nutritive carbohydrates that actually are going to make a serotonin contribution.
Right.
These support your serotonin, your feel-good hormone. So, folks, it's amazing the number of people that I've counseled over the years that want to get super lean, especially around January 2nd, Hey, I've eaten too much over the holidays. I want to get super lean now. So they wipe off all the carbs completely. And I say, you know what? There's a reason why you're feeling edgy and can't sleep at night.
Right.
They got to make the connection here that some foods will wind you down, some foods will wind you up. Proteins all by themselves will surely speed up your metabolism, but they're also going to wire you.
Yeah, they give you energy.
So you have to find the balance between the two. And I say even folks that want to lose the weight and want to work out and all that stuff, at least one serving of complex, high complex starchy carbohydrate a day.
And it's important, too, because those complex carbohydrates break down to sugars.
Right.
And safe sugars, natural sugars, and your brain needs glucose to function and operate. It functions off of, that's the food for your brain, and glucose.
Your brain requires about 80% of your body's glucose, so that even if we're running the Boston Marathon, your brain's still requiring most of your body's fuel. Wow.
Yeah, must get through.
Yeah.
But, it's, and sometimes in our industry, people have a tendency to go real crazy and, even cut out fruits from their diet. But, those are things that, in moderation, you need those.
Sure, and the difference between an apple, a peach, or a pear versus raisins, for example, is like night and day.
Yeah.
You've got high sugar fruits or high glycemic fruits, and you've got low glycemic fruits.
Right.
Some fruits have a lot more sugar than others.
Right.
And we have a commercial series coming up here, and we're going to sell a product or two, see if we can't pay a few light bills, and we'll be right back. Stay right where you are. Hi there, this is Mark Mincold, the Natural Health and Healing Show. I know that so many of you out there are passionate about the latest cutting-edge nutritional information, would like to go on to that next level. I'm proud to announce that our new natural health care offices in Cohasset are offering personalized nutritional consultations. At Santi Holistic Healing, you'll experience an informative, individualized nutritional consultation by one of my finest personally trained nutritional experts. Your consultant will test you for specific food allergies and supplements. Together, you will chart out a personalized, optimal nutritional roadmap that will detail your healthiest foods and nutritional supplements, even specific doses. If that's not enough, we also offer relaxing healing massage at Santi Holistic Healing. Whether it's nutritional consulting or healing massage that you're interested in, we at Santi Holistic Healing are prepared to give you the healing experience of a lifetime. Call us at 781-383-3393. That's 781-383-3393 for the healing experience of a lifetime.
Hi, this is Laura from Good Health Natural Foods, proud sponsor of the Natural Health and Healing Show. This year, let us help you save money and make every dollar count. Come by our stores in Quincy Center or Route 53 in Hanover. We've got everything you need year-round. Organic produce, natural groceries, vitamins, health and beauty items for everyone on your list. Visit us at goodhealthnaturalfood.com for monthly specials and new cutting-edge products. Thanks for listening to the Health and Healing Show.
All righty, welcome back. I'll tell you what we're going to do here. Larry, if we could just, for the next two callers that call in, they don't have to come on the air. If they want, they certainly can. They don't have to. But the next two callers are going to give a couple tickets away to Thursday night's Maximize Your Stress Reduction and Relaxation program. So, once again, if you want to call in, it's 781-837-4900. Easy enough to remember. And we'll make sure that you get tickets for Thursday night if you call in. So, again, first two callers, 781-837-4900. Larry will pick you up, and I'll make sure that you get those tickets, all right? And that's going to be a very special event. Hopefully we see all of you out there. That's going to be at the Red Line this coming Thursday night. And if you want to buy tickets, if you are not one of the next two callers, 781-383.
Look, Larry's already on the phone.
3393 doesn't take long.
I know.
We should get him a job doing the Jerry Days telephone.
And Larry, he's not laughing.
No, he's too busy copying down numbers. All right, so if we have to kind of pull this little thing together here, we've talked for the entire evening about stress, And again, we're going to be doing that this coming Thursday night. But as far as our conversation regarding stress this evening, what do you think the real key points are as far as supplements, as far as advice that we're trying to share with folks out there with diet?
Number one, be conscious of it. Be conscious of when your body is in a stressful state, because it sneaks up on you, and you don't realize it until you're in it. And so then when you're in it, do some things like, you can take theanine, or you can take magnesium optimizer before you go to sleep.
Well, let me ask you a question about that. Do you think some people feel it differently, or do we all feel stress the same way?
I think some people feel it differently. You'll find it manifest in the muscles. So if you're feeling tense and the muscles are feeling, stressed and tight, that's where magnesium comes into play.
Shortness of breath, smothering sensation, heart palpitations, rapid heartbeat, trembling, shaking, sweaty hands and feet, feeling jumpy, blood pressure movements up and down, things like that.
Yeah.
Those are all the kind of things that a lot of folks may, and also there's a lot of genetic tie-in here. In other words, if mom and or dad, grandmom, granddad had a history of being real hypersensitive to stress, and they get triggered off pretty easily, there's probably a pretty good bet that those genes are somewhere within your map.
Yeah, absolutely. And also too, it's learned behavior.
Right.
As well, So, there are particular stress patterns in my family, and my cousin and I are really close because our moms are twins, and, she'll call me, and I know where she is. I know exactly where she is at that moment, and, that's why these supplements are really good, because you recognize it. It gives you the ability to take a step back. Also, other things when you find your spouse being the most annoying person on the face of the planet.
Hey, don't get anybody in trouble out there.
No, it's true, right?
I could just close my eyes and see things, Christmas shopping list being crossed off right now. Come on now.
When you're like, do you have to breathe like that?
You didn't return my call.
Text message me. That's when things like theanine are important, because
Come on, work your way out of this one, Kathy.
Right. But the holidays are like that. When your stress level gets like that, you feel it, but for some people, they may, be taking it out on the people around them.
Sure.
The most. So, when you start to see that happening, it's great.
Get some theanine right away, folks. In fact, why don't you just head out tomorrow morning and get yourself the 100 milligram. Forget it. Get the 200 milligram the theanines.
You can just write "I love you" on the bottle.
Yeah, right. There you go. But
we'll bring this topic back up around February 14th.
Around February 14th. Yeah, there you go. But it is a very effective biochemical enhancer as far as supporting those relaxation brain waves. The idea that folks produce these excitation brain waves during periods of stress.
Right.
And we're not talking about happy excitation. We're talking about uncontrollable excitation that really wears you down. Theanine helps that.
Yeah, another component to that is I often get the question a lot from people. I have trouble focusing, and I have trouble, getting a lot of things accomplished during the day. What do I need to do to keep my energy level high and my focus there? And the thing is about the stress pattern is that when your brain gets so busy about thinking about all of the stress issues, it's hard to manage your day-to-day routine, and so you feel like I can't keep up, all of that stuff. And magnesium optimizer is actually really, really good, for people that have a tendency towards like attention deficit disorder or things like that, because it slows your brain waves and your brain patterns down enough so that you can accomplish task by task.
Right. I think that's such an important point, and folks really need to know that just because we're simply talking about these supplements that will help you mellow down a little bit in the face of intense stress, it does not mean they're going to leave you feeling gaga. You're not going to be burned out and catatonic and unable to get out of bed.
These are things that help you to function, and that is really, really important, because functioning without stress is you get so much accomplished, and at the end of the day, it reinforces a good feeling.
Right. And we're talking about 3 really major supplements. We're talking about the Jarrow Magnesium Optimizer. We're talking about theanine, Theanine. And we're also, theanine is, of course, as you pointed out, nature's Valium.
Yeah, it really is. I've seen it. It's often recommended for women, too, that are approaching menopause.
Yep.
Because the way the hormones change, there's a lot of hormonal activity, and you just can't help it. The estrogen levels peak and they spike, and that causes the hormones to go crazy.
Yep.
And theanine really helps to balance and counter that.
And, of course, we talked about GABA, G-A-B-A, which is also very helpful for stress at helping you kind of straighten out your brain waves and the manner in which your stress signal is being distributed throughout your brain and your body. And we should also point out that Good Health Natural Foods has Magnesium Optimizer. Yeah. Good Health Natural Foods has theanine.
Yeah.
Do they have the 200s and the 100s?
I believe so, yeah.
For the heavy hitters out there?
Those extra special relationships.
Boy, stop that now. Oh, that's funny. And they have GABA. We know they have GABA as well. So you want to pick up on those. And, of course, Good Health Natural Foods is going to be there with us Thursday night, so you get to say hello to everybody from Good Health. And Catherine Foley will be there Thursday night. You get to finally see the mystical Catherine Foley. You've heard her voice here many times on the Natural Health and Healing Show. You get to meet her, folks. So get out there at the Red Lion on Thursday night. And Larry, thank you so much for grabbing those phone calls. We do have a couple folks that we're going to get some free tickets to, and we look forward to seeing them as well. And Catherine, what a wonderful trip to see you here.
Oh, yeah.
It's great to be with you.
Yeah.
We miss you when you're not around.
Yeah, I love it. To me, this is, it's better than working out at the gym.
Hey, I agree.
Yeah.
Natural flow of conversation is quite enjoyable.
It is.
So thank you so much. And, of course, folks interested in watching this show or listening, either way, we podcast these, and we certainly record these on our website as well. So you can go to our website at www.maxhealing.com, and you can check all that action out. Of course, the Natural Health and Healing Show is heard only here on 95.9 FM WATD. And this is Mark Mincola thanking you for joining us. And remember, each and every Sunday night at 8 o'clock, we are here for you and your health. Until next Sunday, remember, please be wise, be aware, be well. Make it a healthy week. Good night.
Thank you for joining Mark Mincola for the Natural Health and Healing Show. Call Mark each Sunday evening at 8 o'clock for the latest nutritional news on 95.9 WATD.